They say fate doesn't knock, it crashes. And on that day, it fell like a burning god into the sands of Myrran Delta, tearing a wound through the clouds that glowed copper in the dying sun. I was on shift 41, repairing a broken solar spine outside, the trench perimeter. Nothing unusual, until the sky opened. No sonic boom, no warning flare, just a tearing silence, like the atmosphere itself was holding its breath. I turned and I saw it, a vertical line of pure blue light, splitting the sky like it was stitched together by some cosmic thread. Then came the vessel. Not a ship, no engines, no wings, no propulsion signature. It dropped, impossibly fast, then stopped mid-air like reality had hit pause. Its surface was obsidian, veined with glowing red cracks, like something struggling to hold in a storm, and then it descended. Gracefully, like it chose this place. We were trained to report anomalies immediately, but I didn't call it in. I couldn't. Something inside me, instinct maybe, said this was mine to find. I reached the impact zone after nightfall. The sand around it had melted into black glass. The vessel stood tall, silent, humming. One breath, then another, then it opened. I didn't know what to expect. A weapon? An alien warrior? A hive mind? But what stepped out was a girl. Her skin shimmered like wet silver. Not metallic, organic, living. Her eyes were two swirling galaxies, purple with no whites, no irises. Her hair moved on its own, floating like it remembered a place without gravity. She looked directly at me, and though her lips didn't move, I heard her. "I am Kyra'tel," I staggered. The voice wasn't sound. It was inside my head, but not painful, more like a forgotten melody played softly in a dream. "Are you injured?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Her head tilted. She looked at her own fingers, flexed them like she hadn't used a body in centuries. "No, this shell functions. You are not expected." I felt the hairs on my neck rise. I wasn't planning to be. She stepped out of the pod, barefoot on melted glass. No expression, no fear, just awareness, like she'd already calculated every possible outcome. And then her knees buckled. I caught her before she hit the ground. The awakening, I took her back to Outpost 17. No one saw me. Surveillance was spotty in the trench canyons, benefits of being forgotten by both war and corporations. I laid her on the cot in my bunker, hooked up my med drones, and waited. Vitals, unreadable. Temperature, fluxing every few minutes. Neural scans, blank. But she breathed. Slowly. Like someone remembering how. When she woke, she scanned the room with eyes that didn't blink. The moment she saw my datapad, it levitated, ripped from the shelf and unfolded mid-air, her fingers flicking through. My files faster than human eyes could track. "Okay," I said, raising my hands. "How about we start with not hacking my entire life?" She paused, looked at me, and smiled. Not warmth, not cruelty, just understanding. I needed context. Context. That word haunted me. I began asking questions. She answered with fragments. Her species, gone. Her home, collapsed into a neutron fracture. Her mission, escape, from what? She wouldn't say. But one thing was clear, she wasn't here by accident. Kyra'tel began fixing things in my bunker. Not with tools, just touch. A dead battery, full, broken drone, reassembled. My old hoverbike, long abandoned, now hovered smoothly like it had been built yesterday. It was like the machines listened to her. One night, while checking perimeter sensors, I saw her standing outside, palms on the sand. A low hum vibrated through the ground. I stepped closer. "What are you doing?" She opened her eyes, waking up the old world. Before I could ask, my comms exploded with static, and then I heard it, a response. From beneath the desert, the warning. That night, my dreams twisted. I saw cities made of glass and bone, floating in a void where time had teeth. I saw creatures, neither organic nor synthetic, watching from black towers that pierced planets. In all those visions, Kyra'tel stood at the center, sometimes revered, sometimes hunted, always alone. I woke up screaming, covered in frost, despite the heating grid. She was waiting by the door. "You dreamed the truth," she said. I asked what she meant. She knelt beside me, took my hand, her fingers impossibly light, and said, "They built me to be a weapon." I refused. "So they unmade everything I loved," she looked up. "And now they come to unmake me." At that moment, every screen in the bunker turned black, then white, then showed a symbol I didn't recognize, an eye cracked in the center, with gears around it. My datapad chimed, incoming transmission, coordinates, 7.442.0, row. 6 message, retrieve the subject, terminate the host. I stared at her. She stared back. They found us. Kyra'tel didn't speak for the next 27 minutes after the warning hit my screen. She just stood there, eyes locked on the blinking transmission like she'd known it would come, like she'd hoped it wouldn't. The glow in her skin pulsed faster, brighter, a heartbeat written in alien code. "We need to move," I said, already packing supplies. "If they found us, we've got maybe 4 hours before the first drones arrive." She didn't move. "Kyra," I said again, "do you want to die here?" Her eyes flicked to mine. "There's something beneath this place. If I run, it wakes alone." I paused mid-motion. "Something? You mean a weapon?" Her voice dropped like she feared the walls might listen. "A memory, buried before your species learned to walk." I froze. In the 2 weeks I'd known her, Kyra'tel had rarely given answers, only metaphors, only fragments. But now her words felt real, heavy, and alive. We left the bunker just before midnight. Descent, she guided me out past the trench fields, past the wrecked pylons and scorched bot carcasses, toward a stretch of ground where the sand turned gray like ash. I'd never gone there, part myth, part superstition. She pressed her palm into the ground. The sand rippled outward in a perfect circle, then sank. Beneath it, something stirred. Stone plates groaned apart. Beneath them was a staircase that hadn't seen light in 1,000 years. No rust, no dust. Just lines of glowing symbols that shifted when I blinked. We descended together, and the deeper we went, the more I felt wrong. Like I was walking through someone else's memory. Kyra'tel walked as if she belonged. The chamber at the bottom was immense, circular, with a ceiling that mimicked the stars above, but wrong. Alien constellations, rotating slowly. In the center stood a throne made of shattered glass and black steel. On it, curled like a sleeping creature, was a machine unlike anything I'd ever seen. It breathed. "This," Kyra'tel whispered, "was my heart." My voice barely rose above the hum. "Is this you?" It was, before I chose freedom. She placed her palm against it. The machine shuddered, lights blinked, holograms bloomed mid-air, fragmented. Memories, planets burning, soldiers falling, children made of light disassembled molecule by molecule. In each image, Kyra'tel stood with blank eyes, her body a weapon of destruction. "I don't want to be that again," she whispered. Something in me shattered. I stepped forward. Took her hand. "Then don't. We run. We fight. But we don't go back." Her gaze met mine, wide, uncertain. "Even if I lose control?" I squeezed her hand tighter. "Especially then." The spark we set up camp inside the chamber, hiding, in the shadow of a dead god machine. That night, while the stars above us rotated wrong in their silent orbit, she sat close beside me, shoulders barely touching. We didn't speak. We just existed. Two broken things breathing the same fractured air. After a long pause, she whispered, "You're not like the others." I think we've established that, I replied. No, you're different, because you chose not to be afraid of me. I looked at her. Do I have a reason to be? She smiled, but there was sadness in it. She turned to me slowly, her hand brushing my cheek, fingers colder than skin should ever be, but soft, gentle, curious. Her eyes flickered with shifting galaxies. Then she kissed me, not desperate, not mechanical, just real. And for a moment I forgot the war, the warning, the fact that I wasn't even sure if I was born or engineered. All I knew was her, Kyra'tel, the girl who made machines weep and stars bend. The knife in the shadows at 0313, my wrist pad, buzzed unauthorized presence. Perimeter breach. My blood froze. I reached for my weapon. Kyra'tel was already up, glowing, silent. Then we heard it. Footsteps, but not metallic. Human. Out of the passage stepped a man I hadn't seen in 7 years. Commander Vesik Karn. Ex-military. Dishonorably discharged, presumed dead in the siege of Draxon Hold. He smirked. Elian Cross, he said. Still alive. Impressive. Kyra'tel stood between us, eyes narrowed. You work for them, he laughed. Not for... with. He held up a small sphere. Kyra'tel gasped. No. Before I could stop him, he crushed it. The ground trembled. The machine at the center of the room screamed. Its parts, long dormant, began shifting, reassembling, awakening. You fool! I shouted. Karn smiled. They wanted her alive. I don't care. I want the throne. Kyra'tel's glow flared, burning hot. He has triggered the bond. If I merge with the machine again... She didn't finish. The glass under our feet cracked. Above us, the stars turned red. The chamber trembled like a living thing as the ancient machine awoke beneath our feet. Kyra'tel's glow exploded into blinding light. Brighter, hotter, untamed. Her hands rose, palms open, and the shards of black glass and steel floated, circling her like a cyclone. I warned you, she whispered, voice cracking. If I merge again, I lose myself. But she was already gone. I watched helplessly as her body became a prism of light and sound, bending the space around us. The stars on the ceiling above, fractured, spinning out of sync. I screamed her name, but the voice that answered was layered, distorted, half human, half machine. You must let me go. I refused. I grabbed her by the shoulders. Kyra'tel, come back! You're not a weapon! You're more than that! The light warped into a face, her face, smiling, cold. I was never more than a weapon. Then she vanished into a pillar of light that shot upward through the chamber's ceiling, piercing the sky. I collapsed onto the cracked floor, heart pounding, mind racing. She was gone. Lost in that otherworldly realm where time didn't exist. The choice days passed in silence. I wandered the chamber, clutching the fragment of her last touch, a glowing shard she'd dropped in the chaos. That's when I found the hidden terminal. It flickered to life at my approach, revealing lines of code. My code. Who built me? The question echoed louder than any gunfire. My mind flooded with fragmented memories, sterile labs, bright lights, mechanical voices giving orders. Elian Cross is a synthetic, a guardian unit, designed to tether subject 7L Kyra'tel. I was never human. The memories burned like acid. Every emotion, every choice, every moment of love, programmed, and yet, here I was, breaking the code. The betrayal. The door hissed open. Karn stepped inside, eyes gleaming. Surprised to see me again? He taunted. The Guardians aren't just machines, Elian. They're weapons, and you were never in control. I clenched my fists. Kyra'tel chose freedom. So do I, he laughed bitterly. Freedom is a myth for us. You're a puppet on strings, just like her. He raised a pulse rifle, but before he could fire, a voice rang out. Stop! Kyra'tel, but not as I remembered. Her body materialized. Half light, half steel, a fusion of machine and memory. "I'm still me," she said, voice steady but distant. Karn hesitated. "This ends now," Kyra'tel declared. "No more puppets, no more chains." She turned to me. "Trust me?" I nodded. Together we fought Karn and his drones, pushing them back through the ancient halls. The human and the alien after the battle, she collapsed. I held her close, tracing the glowing lines that now ran like rivers beneath her skin. She whispered, "You gave me a choice. To feel. To live. To love." I smiled through tears. "You gave me more than I was programmed to have." We sat there, surrounded by ancient ruins and the flickering light of a dying star. Neither human nor alien, neither machine nor soul, but something entirely new. Kyra'tel's glow faded to a soft hum, like the last breath of a dying star. But inside me, a fire roared. I was no longer just a guardian unit, I was something else. The chamber shook again as Karn's forces launched their final assault. Air crackled with energy, ancient tech and modern weaponry colliding in a storm. Kyra'tel looked up, eyes blazing with new power. "Elian," she said, "there's something you don't know. The code you found, it's a key. Not just to me, but to both our fates." I grabbed her hand. "Then let's unlock it together. The awakening of the hybrid." The terminal flickered wildly. Lines of code turned into waves of light streaming into us both. I felt my systems merge with hers. Memories, emotions, everything blending into a singularity. I was no longer just machine or man. I was the bridge. The hybrid Kyra'tel's machine heart beat in sync with my own synthetic core. Together, we rose. The chamber transformed around us, walls becoming translucent, revealing the vast desert beyond, the stars shining clearer than ever. The final battle Karn stormed in with his elite squad. But we were ready. Kyra'tel's light exploded, warping reality, bending space. I unleashed energy I never knew. I held pulse waves that shattered weapons and disarmed soldiers. The ancient machine's power coursed through our veins. In one final move, Kyra'tel touched Karn's rifle, disintegrating it. He fell to his knees, defeated, the arrogance drained from his eyes. "This is the future," she said. "One where we define who we are." A new dawn as dawn broke over the Myrran Delta. Kyra'tel and I stood side by side on the ancient terrace. The desert stretched endlessly, but now it held promise. I looked at her. The alien girl who trusted a human to tame her chaos, she smiled, a gentle warmth in her cosmic eyes. "What now?" I asked. She took my hand. "Now, we rebuild. Together." And for the first time in centuries, hope was real.